And we are back with another Premier League predictions video. The first of 3 predictions videos you're going to be getting over the next 7 days as we look ahead to the weekend's fixtures, our first round of midweek Premier League fixtures, and of course the routine weekend fixtures next weekend as well. This week it's been all about managers and European football once again. Ollie's time finally up at Manchester United. Michael Carrick taking over of the Champions League game midweek and this weekend's game, with the seemingly looking that like Ralf Rangnick will be taking over from that point onwards. We'll get onto that a bit more when we get to this week's predictions. As for European football itself, all 4 Premier League clubs in the Champions League secured top spot in their group, which is fantastic for them. Europa League, West Ham secured their top spot. Leicester have put themselves top of the league. And in the Europa Conference, Tottenham yet again losing and potentially at risk of getting knocked out of the Europa Conference, which would be a very embarrassing start to Antonio Conte's reign in charge of them. As for the Premier League itself, though, we're going to run through last week's results before looking ahead to this week's predictions. Hopefully the numbers on the screen are now correct, as I got that wrong last week. Drop a like if you enjoyed this series, and let's get into last week's predictions. And here they are. Now, after a few bad weeks on my part, this week, I can tell you, it went a little bit better. So these were my predictions for last week, and here are the results. So, Leicester and Chelsea missed out by 1 goal. Aston Villa and Brighton missed out by 1 goal. Burnley and Crystal Palace, I mean, to predict a 2-2 and for it to be 3-3, I don't know what more I can do. I'm never going to actively predict a 3-3. So, I feel like I should give myself 2 points for that. I'm not going to. I'm going to stick to the rules. So, only 1 point for that. But pleased I got relatively close with that prediction. Newcastle and Brentford, with Eddie Howe missing through COVID, I'm sure that would have had some impact on Newcastle's performance. Still yet to take charge of a game, and it looks like he'll miss this weekend's game as well. Better performance from Brentford after a shoddy run over the last few games, so no points for me there. I was a bit disrespectful to Dean Smith. I know he's a good manager. I just really thought the form Southampton were in, they would get that result against Norwich, but that will play into my predictions this week. There's not really a lot I can say about the Watford-Manchester United game that probably hasn't already been said. I said at the time it wouldn't surprise me to see Watford get a result in the game, but my Manchester United bias kicked in and we should beat Watford. We still should have beaten Watford, but really, really shocking performance. It's cost Ollie his job, and hopefully now, with the future looking a little bit better, we'll start seeing a turn in form after this week's games. Wolves pulled off a great result against West Ham. I didn't see too much of the game. There wasn't really a lot of highlights from the game, but a great result for Wolves, considering how well West Ham have been playing. So, surprised me, that one. And again, that may play into this week's predictions. I really thought Arsenal would have learnt their lesson over the last few seasons when they travelled to Anfield. They should have learnt by now that you cannot play out from the back against Liverpool. The Jurgen Klopp Gegenpress is too hard to break down unless you are a really, really quality team. Even Man City struggled when they tried it. I really thought Arsenal would have learnt their lesson. They didn't. 4-0 probably even flattered them. It could have been 5, 6 or 7. So at least we still got the 1 point there. And then when we moved on to Super Sunday, 2 games on Sunday, Man City, Everton, Tottenham and Leeds, and we got both of them bang on correct, 3-0 and 2-1. So that's 3 points for each of them, meaning that we total last week with 10 points, which is fantastic. After the weeks I've had where we've been getting 2 points and 3 points, it's great to have double figures back on the scoreboard, meaning our total season score is now at 65. So, don't forget to pop down in the comments your result for last week and obviously your predictions for this week. which mine we will get into now. And here are this week's games. All the matches this week are being played on Saturday and Sunday again. That is because, as I've just said, we're going to have another round of Premier League fixtures Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The new predictions video will be out next Monday. So let's get into the Saturday lunchtime game, which is going to be Arsenal and Newcastle. Now, I really only see this game going one way. It won't surprise you that I think it will be an Arsenal win. The scoreline, though, I'm going to be a bit generous to Arsenal, I feel. They're going to want a response after the way they played against Liverpool. I think Newcastle is a good opponent to play after that. They look very shaky at the back. I did say I expected Newcastle to get that clean sheet against Brentford. They were very open, conceded 3 goals. It looks like Eddie Howe's going to be missing again. So I'm going to give this one as a 3-1 to Arsenal win. Newcastle, yeah, I still see Newcastle scoring. They've scored in almost every game this season, and I think they'll have enough to damage Arsenal, but Arsenal should get the win there. Moving on to the 3 o'clock kickoffs, we start with Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. Steven Gerrard made a great start as Aston Villa manager, getting that 2-0 win last week. However, coming up against a former Premier League rival in Patrick Vieira and the Crystal Palace team that has been playing really, really well this season, the form of Conor Gallagher, of course, earning him a place in the England squad for the last international break. I think the way they're playing at the moment, Crystal Palace will probably have too much. I can see Aston Villa getting something out of this, but for now, so early into Gerrard's reign, I'm going to give this one as a 2-1 Crystal Palace win. I spoke about how the Southampton result last week would play into my predictions here, and it is. I probably would have only gone for like 2-0 Liverpool. I still think Liverpool are going to win this game quite comfortably, but I'd probably only gone for a 2-0 Liverpool win if Southampton weren't beaten by Norwich last week. And off the back of a defeat to Norwich, travelling to Anfield is just the worst possible fixture for them. I'm going to go for back-to-back 4-0 home wins for Liverpool. Don't think I really need to say much more there. Norwich and Wolves is a very tight one to call. I just said, obviously, that Norwich's performance against Southampton would play into my prediction, but also Wolves' performance against West Ham has to go into my prediction here. Both teams, off the back of fantastic results, are going to be full of confidence, but at the same time, they're two teams that like to try and secure results. So, with all that said, I think the only real result I can go for here is a 1-1 draw. Yeah. Tough one to call. Really tough one to call. Could see that one going either way. And the next game, I can see being very close to call as well. This is the Saturday evening game this week. Brighton and Leeds. Leeds finally starting to get their players back. Good performance last week. Not quite the result they'd have been looking for, but considering they were still reasonably shy of personnel to get, you know, a narrow defeat to Tottenham, they've probably been quite happy with. And it looks like they're going to have a couple more of their first team players back, and one of them Rafinha. However, I still think Brighton are a team that are playing really well and will just have enough to edge this one. This is going to be another 2-1. But yeah, don't be surprised if Leeds get something out of this one. I've just got to edge with form and table position on this one. Brighton just edging it. Brentford and Everton, the first of our Sunday games. Again, really, really tough to call. After a great start to the season, both teams have hit a dip in form. Brentford are going to feel like they're on a little bit of a high. After last week's performance, they seem to be back to some form of their former selves from the last couple of months. So they're going to be full of confidence. And Everton really do need a response. I can see Brentford leaking goals. I know Everton have got players back. They're still going to be missing Doucouré, which has been the catalyst for this downfall in form. But for this week, I'm going to give this as my 2-2 prediction. Again, don't be surprised if Everton win or Brentford win this. I just think it's a really, really tight game. So 2-2 is the only result I can see. It's the fairest result I can give. As for Burnley and Tottenham, this may surprise some of you watching. But I only see this being a Burnley win. They've been playing really, really well over the last few weeks, getting some great results. And Tottenham are they haven't made any improvements since Antonio Conte took over. They're really struggling to score goals. They lost last night in the Europa Conference to the lowest ranked team in the Europa Conference and look like they could be going out. They've not been performing in the Premier League either. Narrow victory against Leeds reserves. I just think on current form, this game goes to Burnley, and I'm going to give it as a 2-0 win. A lot of you may disagree. That's just the way I see this game. 2-0 Burnley. As for Leicester and Watford, based off of the last couple of weeks' Premier League performances, I was very tempted to put this as another 2-2 prediction. If it wasn't for Leicester's win last night in the Europa League, that is probably what I'd have gone for. However, I am going to just edge this in Leicester's favour and give it as a 2-1. I know Manchester United were really poor against Watford, but I genuinely was impressed with how Watford played. I know the players have been really impressed with Ranieri since he took over. Shout out to the Cycling GK for his vlogs with some of their players. They seem to be really believing in Ranieri's philosophy. But I just think Leicester have the edge on this one. They do still have Tielemans out, but with Maddison getting a goal and an assist last night, his first goal contributions for a long while for Leicester, I think they're just going to have the quality to edge this one out. Man City and West Ham is another tough one to call. Again, if it wasn't for West Ham losing to Wolves last week, I probably would have put this one a little bit tighter. But the way Man City are playing right now, it has to be a Man City win. I'm going to give it 2-0. I think West Ham put up a hell of a fight. Obviously, they knocked Man City out of the Carabao Cup earlier on this season. So I can see them potentially getting a result, but the way Man City are playing right now, they should have way too much quality for West Ham. So I think 2-0 is a fair result there. And finally, the main event of the weekend, the final game of the weekend, Chelsea and my team, Manchester United. Michael Carrick's second and probably final game in charge of the team before Ralph Rangnick takes over ahead of the Arsenal game. If we still have serious ambitions about potentially winning the league this year, then this is a must-win game. However, I think based on what I saw against Villarreal, our priority will just be survival. If we do win this game, we pull the gap at the top back to 9 points. If we lose this game, we're out to 15 points behind, and even if we draw and it's still 12, that's probably title chances over. But yeah, I think this is going to be about survival. I think there are only two possible outcomes here. The first being a 0-0 draw, and the second being a Chelsea victory. I have to be realistic. I think right now Chelsea will just have far too much quality. The way they've been playing this season has just been fantastic. The way they've been getting the fullbacks forward. If we play 4-2-3-1, if any of you watch my FIFA content, I play Chelsea's system against 4-2-3-1s. It is the natural counter. So if we play 4-2-3-1 against the way Chelsea play, we'll just get overloaded down the fullbacks like all these other teams, and eventually we'll succumb. We may play 5 at the back, but with Maguire suspended, I don't see us doing that. I think it will be a 4-2-3-1. I think Chelsea will break us down, and then as and when they do, we'll start panicking like we have done under these set of coaches. And I am genuinely going to go for a 4-0 Chelsea win, because that's just the way I see it. I hope we can get something out of the game, I really do, but I have to be realistic. I think we will try and hold them, and we'll sustain probably a 30-minute battering, by which point we will concede, panic will set in, we'll probably make changes at half-time, and then second half we'll just get overrun, and I think Chelsea will walk away with it in the end. Like, even in a serious situation, I'd probably back Chelsea to win this game. As you know, they are the team that I've predicted to win the league, so I think under normal circumstance I'd have probably gone for a 2-1 Chelsea win. But yeah, current form dictates this is the only realistic outcome. So 4-0 Chelsea, and that will conclude today's video. Drop a like if you are enjoying this series. Don't forget to comment down below with your own predictions and share it with a friend. It's been good to see more and more people engaging with this over the last couple of weeks. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again on Monday morning for our first midweek predictions. Thank you very much for watching.